through Resource Center. We were exposed to Congress WBN. That exposure was actually, when I used the Congress word reformation, it was a reformation in my life, in my wife's life and family, then down to the Kingdom community. And sometime this year, 2 of my children were in the camp for 21 days in Resource Center. 21 days brought a transformation that 10 years cannot bring in the life of someone.
The resource community is like a center where you are chiseled and prepared for different stages in life. As a mother, I'm being processed to understand how my lawfulness gives life to my children and those that are around me. The life of my children has been touched.
It's a different ballgame entirely from where and how life has been. It's a community where there is oneness. It's a community where there is cohesion. There is a kind of relationship that is flowing easily among everyone that is there. So these things are coming directly every day in different forms, in different ways. How to live this life, talking about marriage, talking about relationship, talking about building the children. I'm even amazed with the way children have been. I wish I had this opportunity when I was younger. A lot of things that are coming upon the children are what actually amazed me.
You coming to church is not just for the fun of coming to church. It's for you to get the teaching and then the understanding of what God purposes. I even like this vision of resource that says building mankind for God's purpose. But that vision is really helpful for me and my family because it has been able to build me and my family in the right structure because we work and we do as we like. You sleep, you drink, you play, anything you like, just do it anyhow you like. But now, for me and my family, is now structured to working in God's line.
Preaching is just not it, but living. Anything my proclamation and my implementation go together. Church is not a physical place, it's a spiritual place, and that I have trained my children or spent anything on them like sending them to school. They are not my investment because God has plans for them.
Before, I used to think that going to church is worshiping God, is doing the will of God, is serving God, or being a member of one section or the other, like the choir, the cleaner, or whatever. But now, in resource, I've received the understanding that God is interested in my life. Everywhere I go, I should carry God. I should represent God. And that has affected the way I live or the way I relate with my wife, my children.
During the marriage seminar, which changed my aspect about how marriage should be, as a girl, I have expectation of how my husband should be. God created marriage, and that means I need to know what God says about marriage himself, not going into my own mind because of my own because of my own understanding about what marriage. And that brings peace of mind in my marriage, and that brings a lot of joy that I did not even expect to happen.
The understanding that life is built gradually through journey has been a very important learning for me, and that every time you come for a meeting or every time you have an interaction with leadership, there is a continuous addition, enrichment and layering of values.
As every other youth, I came into the resource wanting to have my way, wanting to have a bit of life, have a taste of how life is, doing things on my own, making my own choices. But the first thing I was able to understand in the resource is government, and understanding that there is a place for leadership. I was able to see that every youth, we are supposed to be under a leader. We are supposed to have a focus in life because we have so much talent, we have so much energy, we have what we want to do, we have where to channel our energy. But the resource brought me understanding on where to direct this energy.
I appreciate God because being a part of this community has opened my eyes to a lot of things, because as a youth there's this deception in my heart that nobody sees me, I can live my life. But through the teachings of this community, the reality of the existence of God has been emphasized so greatly. So it is beyond coming to service, it's beyond my coordinator, it's beyond the SC, but the life outside of the community shows and authenticates my journey with God.
Resource Center has had a powerful impact in my life. Ever since I stepped into this place, I've seen a lot of changes, positive ones. At first, I wasn't comfortable with certain things, going by my background, loud music and stuff. But then, with time, I got used to the way of the resource, the community. Resource has made me very radical. My way of thinking has changed. I began to question a lot of things that I've done before. My children, they don't want to miss anything, any activity, any program, a resource. They want to come to church every day. It's fun coming to church as a family, because it's a change from where we're coming from. It has impacted on me, my wife. The way we relate is different now, and it has impacted on my children. Now, when you see people do things differently, and say, "Oh, they are not resource people," so you don't expect better. As a resource people, we should know better.
God has direction. God knows. He has the calendar for my life. So if I want to actually live correctly, I have to tap into God and I have to receive instruction and obey completely.
With the teachings of resource, I know that I have to choose my friends based on character, and I should choose them wisely and not just choose anybody.
In my home, I could say that the Resource Center has really been a blessing to me, especially from a perspective of my family and children.
It's a place of pattern where we come to see the apostolic patterns of God. And when we see, it's very practical, so we can easily build, because it's practicable and pragmatic knowledge. So I want to thank God for 25 years of investing so much in resource, and it's been a blessing to every one of us. Thank you very much.
The discipline that we see in resource is being transferred to us. We see timing, we see accuracy, we see definition, and that really makes an impact in my life, my family, and my KC.
My relationship with the Resource Center has been a good one, and as the name implies, it's a truly place of kingdom resource where impact has been released to many, whether pastors, whether youths, whether children, whether male or female. They have all received massive impact in this place. It's a place where people are activated to come into both prophetic destiny and their creativity in God. It's a place where life bubbles out, life flows, and I'm happy that I'm part of the development of this place.
Invitation to Congress Engagement Seminar became the entrance point to get to know resource. In the process of time, I now begin to see resource as a pattern for any pastor that want to get it accurately in pastoring a church. And secondly, there is this kind of fear in the life of most men on parenting, and I was one of such person. So exposing my children to resource has given me that peaceful mind and realization that they are in a good hand, especially when they come. So they give me their feedback on how they are learning.
Come in contact with resource in 2014 has redirected our ministry. It was then I came in contact with God practically. And I came in contact with the ministry practically the way God wanted it to be. And it exposed me to Congress World. Our youth, we call them Eagles, they are coming here every Saturday to get resourced. And they were coming back to impart the community in a positive way. Our life have been touched. I started learning as a young child all over again, and I've been downloading. God is downloading himself in a different form to us. So I'm part and parcel of resource.
I take responsibility as a father, and I appreciate God for that. And another thing in my family, all of us now know our responsibility. The leadership, my wife being very supportive, and my children being disciplined. All of us are hearing the same thing, so everybody is submitting.
I came into the resource with my husband. He brought me into the resource. I've seen patterns from our coordinator children, the way he trained up the children. That has really impacted me. Taught me really how to bring up my children the godly way, not to follow the trends of this world, that to have a focus, to have and aim where we are going to. We are supposed to live from the principles of God on how God wants us to live our life. That has really helped me.
I would say the resource has made me a more functional human. I would say I came into the resource dysfunctional. By dysfunctional, I mean focusing on only a certain part of my life. I realized that God wanted my entire life, my spirit, soul, and my body developed.
The resource has imparted me a lot. A lot of things has changed in my life and in my family's life. Things has transformed. My family has changed. My relationship with my wife is so tight now. Even with my family, my children, I can talk to them freely.
Over time, my values, my principles on how I should engage life has changed. And that is one of those things that actually changed in me as a person.
We come in, we become pious in the house of God, and when you go out there, you do one other thing. We call it double life, which resource has corrected.